of State for Northern Ireland? A. Managing agricultural policies. B. Overseeing education reform. C. Facilitating peace and security efforts. D. Promoting tourism. Answer: C. Facilitating peace and security efforts. The Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is primarily responsible for facilitating peace and security efforts in the region. Question 2. What powers does the Scottish Parliament have over immigration? A. Full control over immigration policies. B. No control over immigration. C. Limited to advising on UK-wide policies. D. Shared powers with the UK government. Answer: B. No control over immigration. Immigration is a matter reserved to the UK government. The Scottish Parliament does not have direct control over immigration policies. Question 3. How is the Prime Minister formally appointed? A. By a public election. B. By the monarch on the recommendation of the Parliament. C. By the majority vote in the House of Commons. D. By the ruling political party. Answer: B. By the monarch on the recommendation of the Parliament. The Prime Minister is formally appointed by the monarch following a recommendation based on the ability to command a majority in the House of Commons. Question 4. Name 3 significant reforms introduced during the reign of King Charles III. A. Environmental protection, education reform, healthcare expansion. B. Constitutional changes, military enhancements, tax reforms. C. Judicial restructuring, police reforms, trade adjustments. D. None. The monarch has no legislative power. Answer: D. None. The monarch has no legislative power. King Charles III, like other British monarchs, does not have legislative power to introduce reforms. Question 5. What is the historical significance of the Glorious Revolution of 1688 in shaping the British constitutional monarchy? A. It ended the absolute monarchy. B. It established the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. C. It separated church and state powers. D. It introduced the concept of judicial independence. Answer: B. It established the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. The Glorious Revolution is significant for establishing the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy, a fundamental principle of the British constitutional monarchy. Question 6. Describe the roles and powers of the police and crime commissioners in England and Wales. A. They manage the police budget and set policing priorities. B. They control the judiciary. C. They oversee education in their regions. D. They regulate local businesses. Answer: A. They manage the police budget and set policing priorities. Police and crime commissioners are responsible for managing the police budget and setting priorities for policing in their regions. Question 7. How does the UK's Bill of Rights of 1689 still impact modern British law? A. It is purely historical, with no modern relevance. B. It underpins the rights to a fair trial and prohibits cruel punishment. C. It dictates the economic policies of the UK. D. It regulates international trade agreements. Answer: B. It underpins the rights to a fair trial and prohibits cruel punishment. The Bill of Rights of 1689 established lasting principles, such as the right to a fair trial and prohibitions against cruel and unusual punishment. Question 8. What are the eligibility criteria for a peerage nomination in the modern House of Lords? A. Nomination by the Prime Minister or non-political selection bodies. B. Winning a local election. C. Inheritance of a title. D. Appointment by the House of Commons. Answer A. Nomination by the Prime Minister or non-political selection bodies. Modern peerages can be granted on the nomination of the Prime Minister or by non-political selection bodies for life peerages. Question 9. What specific rights are protected under the Human Rights Act 1998? A. Right to life, freedom from torture, right to a fair trial. B. Right to vote, right to governmental office, right to public health care. C. Economic rights such as employment and housing. D. Rights to private and family life only. Answer A. Right to life, freedom from torture, right to a fair trial. The Human Rights Act 1998 protects several fundamental rights, including the right to life, freedom from torture, and the right to a fair trial. Question 10. What legal and societal implications did the Marriage, Same-Sex Couples, Act 2013 have in England and Wales? A. It legalised same-sex marriage, providing equal marriage rights. B. It banned same-sex marriage. C. It only allowed civil partnerships. D. It restricted the rights of same-sex couples. Answer A. It legalized same-sex marriage, providing equal marriage rights. The Marriage, Same-Sex Couples, Act 2013 was significant for legalizing same-sex marriage in England and Wales, thus providing equal marriage rights to all citizens. Question 11. What landmark case established the principle of judicial review in England? C. Hashby v. White. D. The Proclamation Case of 1610. Answer D. The Proclamation Case of 1610. This case is noted for establishing the principle that the King could not create new laws without the consent of Parliament, laying the groundwork for judicial review. Question 12. How has the role of the British monarchy changed since the Victorian era? A. It has become more politically powerful. B. It has transitioned to a purely ceremonial role. C. It has gained more legislative authority. D. It has remained unchanged. Answer B. It has transitioned to a purely ceremonial role. Since the Victorian era, the role of the British monarchy has largely transitioned from one of significant political power to a primarily ceremonial role. Question 13. What are the differences between reserved and devolved powers in the UK? A. Reserved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Devolved powers are granted to regional assemblies. B. Devolved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Reserved powers are granted to local councils. C. There is no difference. Both terms mean the same. D. Reserved powers relate to defence only, devolved powers to taxation. Answer A. Reserved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Devolved powers are granted to regional assemblies. This distinction is key in understanding the division of powers within the UK's political system. Question 14. Detail the process and criteria for the UK granting asylum. A. Asylum is granted automatically to all applicants. B. Applicants must prove they face persecution based on race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. C. Asylum is only granted to those with sufficient financial resources. D. All asylum seekers must pass a rigorous health screening. Answer B. Applicants must prove they face persecution based on race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. This criterion is essential for granting asylum in the UK. Question 15. What are the historical origins of the Commonwealth and its impact on post-colonial UK relations? A. It originated from the American Revolution. B. It was formed after World War II. C. It evolved from the British Empire to foster economic and cultural cooperation. D. It was created during the English Civil War. Answer. C. It evolved from the British Empire to foster economic and cultural cooperation. The Commonwealth plays a significant role in maintaining a network of cooperation among former British colonies. Question 16. How do the functions of the Welsh Senedd differ from those of the Scottish Parliament? A. The Senedd has greater legislative powers than the Scottish Parliament. B. The Senedd and Scottish Parliament have identical powers. C. The Senedd has more limited legislative powers compared to the Scottish Parliament. D. The Senedd controls foreign policy, unlike the Scottish Parliament. Answer. C. The Senedd has more limited legislative powers compared to the Scottish Parliament. The Welsh Senedd does not have as broad a scope of legislative authority as the Scottish Parliament. Question 17. What is the constitutional role of the Privy Council in the UK government? A. It acts as the Supreme Court of the UK. B. It advises the monarch and serves as a court of final appeal for some cases. C. It legislates new laws for the entire UK. D. It elects the Prime Minister. Answer. B. It advises the monarch and serves as a court of final appeal for some cases. The Privy Council has a largely ceremonial role in advising the monarch, with judicial functions in certain legal cases. Question 18. Describe the UK's involvement in the formation of the United Nations. A. The UK was opposed to the formation of the United Nations. B. The UK was a founding member and key architect of the United Nations. C. The UK joined only after the United Nations was established. D. The UK has no involvement with the United Nations. Answer. B. The UK was a founding member and key architect of the United Nations. The UK played a significant role in the establishment and shaping of the UN structure and charter. Question 19. What was the impact of the Beveridge Report on the UK welfare state? A. It led to the reduction of welfare benefits. B. It had no impact on welfare. C. It laid the foundations for the modern welfare state, including the creation of the NHS. D. It privatized most welfare services. Answer. C. It laid the foundations for the modern welfare state, including the creation of the NHS. The Beveridge Report was instrumental in establishing the welfare state in the UK, including the creation of the National Health Service. Question 20. What are the requirements and process for the UK's judicial appointments? A. Appointments are made based on seniority only. B. Judges are elected by the public. C. Candidates must pass an exam, and appointments are made based on merit. D. Appointments are made by the monarch alone. Answer. C. Candidates must pass an exam, and appointments are made based on merit. Question 21. Explain the significance of the Fixed-Term Parliaments Act 2011. A. It removed the monarch's power to call elections. B. It established set dates for general elections every 5 years. C. It allowed for more frequent elections. D. It extended terms to 7 years. Answer. B. It established set dates for general elections every 5 years. The Fixed-Term Parliaments Act 2011 was significant as it set the general elections to occur on a fixed schedule, rather than being called at the discretion of the Prime Minister. Question 22. What is the Salisbury Convention, and how does it affect the legislative process? A. It requires all laws to receive royal assent. B. It states that the House of Lords should not block legislation proposed in the government's election manifesto. C. It mandates a public referendum for any constitutional amendment. D. It allows the House of Commons to override the House of Lords. Answer B. It states that the House of Lords should not block legislation proposed in the government's election manifesto. The Salisbury Convention affects the legislative process by limiting the House of Lords' ability to oppose legislation that is based on commitments made in the government's election manifesto. Question 23. How has British immigration policy evolved since 1945? A. It has become progressively stricter. B. It has remained unchanged. C. It has completely opened borders. D. It has alternated between restriction and liberalization based on economic needs. Answer D. It has alternated between restriction and liberalization based on economic needs. British immigration policy has evolved significantly since 1945, often reflecting the country's economic conditions and political climate. Question 24. Describe the controversies and reforms associated with the House of Lords in the 21st century. A. Introduction of hereditary peer elections. B. Attempts to make it a fully elected body. C. Reduction in legislative powers. D. All of the above. Answer D. All of the above. The House of Lords has faced various controversies and reforms in the 21st century, including debates over the election of hereditary peers, attempts to transform it into a fully elected chamber, and discussions on reducing its legislative powers. Question 25. What are the principles guiding the use of prerogative powers by the UK government? A. The government can exercise power without parliamentary approval in all matters. B. Prerogative powers are reserved exclusively for the monarch. C. They are used sparingly and primarily relate to foreign affairs and national defence. D. They allow the government to overrule judicial decisions. Answer C. They are used sparingly and primarily relate to foreign affairs and national defence. Prerogative powers are executive powers that allow the government to act without the immediate need for parliamentary consent, typically used in areas like foreign affairs and defence. Question 26. What legal protections are provided by the UK against discrimination based on age? A. The Age Discrimination Act 1967. B. The Equality Act 2010. C. The Human Rights Act 1998. D. The Senior Citizens Act 1975. Answer B. The Equality Act 2010. This act provides comprehensive protections against discrimination based on age, as well as other factors like race, religion, and gender within the workplace and wider society. Question 27. How do electoral boundaries in the UK get determined, and who oversees this process? A. By the Prime Minister's office. B. By an independent boundary commission. C. By the House of Commons. D. Through public referenda. Answer B. By an independent boundary commission. The boundary commissions for England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are responsible for reviewing and adjusting the boundaries of parliamentary constituencies. Question 28. Describe the role of the Speaker in the context of constitutional crisis. A. To vote on legislation. B. To maintain order and neutrality in the House of Commons. C. To propose new laws. D. To represent the UK in international negotiations. Answer B. To maintain order and neutrality in the House of Commons. During constitutional crisis, the Speaker plays a crucial role in maintaining order and ensuring that parliamentary procedures are followed impartially. Question 29. What were the major constitutional changes introduced by the Scotland Act 1998? A. Establishment of the Scottish Parliament with powers to legislate on devolved matters. B. Abolishment of the Scottish Parliament. C. Scotland was granted independence. D. Scotland's legal system was merged with England's. Answer A. Establishment of the Scottish Parliament with powers to legislate on devolved matters. The Scotland Act 1998 was significant for establishing the Scottish Parliament, granting it powers to legislate on a range of devolved issues. Question 30. How did the UK's role in the European Union change prior to Brexit? A. The UK key EU policies, including the Euro and Schengen area. C. The UK led the expansion of the EU. D. There was no change in the UK's role. Answer B. The UK opted out of several key EU policies, including the Euro and Schengen area.